Well, hello and welcome to another episode of Answers from the Stairs. I am your host, Chris, and I've got with me an amazing guest today, Maria Quattrone. This podcast is about lessons you only learn from between the floors, the moments where growth costs you comfort, leadership demands more of you than you even plan to give. Today's conversation is about the truth that every scaling leader, because Maria is definitely that, a scaling leader, eventually faces, and that's that you can't grow an organization faster than you grow the people inside of it. As I said, my guest today is Maria Quattrone. She is with Maria Quattrone and Associates at LPT Realty. She's built one of the most respected real estate and mortgage organizations in the country, not by chasing volume, but by building leaders, systems, and culture that last. We're going to talk about the stairs where leaders stop doing the work themselves and start building others that can do the work better than they ever thought they could. The stairs where control must be released and must be built. Maria, welcome to Answers from the Stairs.
Thank you, Chris, for having me. Excited to speak with you today.
It's been great to get to know you. Over the last, I guess about now we're going on 2 months. I met you as a guest on another podcast of a friend of ours who does this crazy series of podcasts all day long on New Year's Eve called Lollapalooza.
Lollapalooza.
Yeah. If you're listening to this and you haven't listened to Culture Matters Lollapaloozas, I think there's 89 episodes on that day. I don't know, something crazy number of episodes that he recorded that day where he gathers guests. I recommend going to listen to that. But when I was on that podcast, I got to be on that with Maria because we shared Jay as a contact. And I was so fascinated by how she showed up there. I was like, I have to get you on so that you can tell your story. So I always ask this first, and I know that you're never supposed to ask a lady her age, but what's your birthday?
August 2nd.
All right. Since that day that you were born, I know a lot's happened, and I know you don't remember that day. But somewhere along the way from that day of being blessed to be on this planet, you reached a stair, on this climb of personal development and success that forced you to stop being the top producer and to start becoming the builder of people. What caused that? What do you remember the click moment that happened for you?
Hmm. Well, that's a tough question because over the years, there's been many times when there was that click that happened. I would say as soon as I entered into the real estate industry, most people in the real estate industry are solopreneurs. And I had been in the industry just a year, and I hired my first person with being at when I entered, I was working in radio advertising. So I had a dual career for a year and decided, I was going to be in real estate only. And I was in the industry for 2 months, 3 months full time. And that's when I hired my first person because I recognized very early on that this business requires all different types of people to do it well. And I never understood the industry when I got in. I thought it was the craziest thing how one person was supposed to do 7 different jobs in a transaction. How does that work? Well, it doesn't work well. It doesn't work well. So I think that probably was the first time, which was in May of 2005.
So 21 years ago.
21 years ago.
Yeah. It's a good lesson to learn early. In that,
Early.
yeah. So that was, and you just said it, and it was early in your career. You're in that first set of stairs. It's kind of about survival, and some people say hustle. Um, what did those early stairs look like for you in real estate?
Mm. I explain many, many of the years as I'm climbing a pole, big pole, and the pole has grease on it.
That's a good analogy.
And I am trying to get up this pole with all my might. And I'm hugging it and I'm holding on that's what the climb felt like for a very, very, very long time.
It's a great analogy. So, given that analogy, right, because that's a tough, tough struggle, was there ever a season where quitting would have been logical? Like that would have been like a logical thing to do.
Dozens of times. Dozens of times. And over the course of the last 23 years, I reinvented myself multiple times. And I think that's part of the journey of life. Like I had something I wanted to, a goal, say goal, because I used that word back then, goal, instead of the word I use today is commitment, a goal. And the goal was to make X. The goal was to make seven figures. And I remember this day as crystal clear. I sat there in my office, looked at my 1099. I'm looking at it. And I went like this. This is it.
Right.
Nothing changed. Now you have disappointment because it was a realization that you made it where you wanted this thing, this big thing, and nothing changed. And so from that point on, I learned that it was about enjoying the journey. And before then, I would compare myself to others. And well, we know what that is. Comparison is a thief of joy. So learning from that day on, and I try to share this with as many people as I can because I see this as a common theme. People, they think that they're going to arrive, and we never arrive. I guess when like we go to heaven, maybe we arrive, but we never truly arrive because there's always there is an evolution. And I speak a lot in real estate for people for different organizations and even people outside of real estate. And I talk about a lot. Who is the person that you need to become to have the life that you want? It's an inside game. If you are where you want to be, it's your fault. If you aren't where you want to be, it's your fault. But the only person, and that's my mantra, be the solution. That's why that's my podcast name. We are the only ones that can be our solution. We're the only ones that can make the decisions, good, bad, and different. And it's up to us each and every day to choose what we want, choose how we're going to respond. And also, the things that do happen in our life that are challenging, whether it be a sick family member, uh, divorce, all these things that are very, very emotional, very could, in some cases, if you let it almost break you, those are the times where you really dig deep. And that experience allows you, you don't know at the time what it's for, but it happened for you so that you can become the person that you need to become to have the life that you want. And you're able then to lead others through your experience because you walked it already.
That's good. I heard 4 lessons that those early stairs taught. And I'm curious, I'm going to read them back to you, and I want to know how they shape your leadership today. You said it's commitment, not a goal. You got to learn to enjoy the journey. It's doing over being, it's doing, it's not, it's being over doing, which my wife says people are too busy doing, they don't know who they're being. Like, I love that. And things happen for you and not to you. So if you looked at those 4 things, how do you think those lessons shape the way you lead today?
So commitment is a big thing. And I'll explain commitment. Commitment is in the sales business is we don't finish until we reach the commitment. Commitment is like you commit it to brushing your teeth in the morning, taking a shower. Those are commitments that we do unconsciously or consciously, I guess. But the commitment from a sales perspective is about, in our case, is conversations with people. And you either have a result, whether the result is good, positive or negative, it doesn't matter, or you have an excuse. And so it's interesting how many people don't really understand this, especially in real estate, because it's more of a hope. But teaching commitment and what it means daily, because we only have today, and how many people can we impact today? And if your commitment is to impacting people, and that's what we do in people's lives in real estate, is impacting them through home ownership, impacting them through home ownership, and investing. People are able to build generational wealth. It goes more much, much deeper than making calls.
That's good.
The journey, yes, the journey is about today. What are we going to do today to have a fun day while we're impacting others? How can we bring our light to them when so many people are right in today's environment and maybe in a dark place? How can we be the lighthouse, standing tall and strong, beaming? Because everybody can be the lighthouse for somebody. There's always, I had somebody on the podcast, they told me there's like 1 in 400 trillion. I thought it was 4 trillion chance of being born. So we are all here for a reason. We are all here to make the world a better place. We are all here to help others and have an impact daily. And getting up every day and saying, who can I impact today?
That's good.
I like the word impact better than help, because help is like, I'm going to help the old lady across the street with her groceries. Nothing wrong with that. But impact, it's, Chris, the words we use make a difference.
Yeah.
Because our subconscious mind is constantly going. And the most expensive real estate that we own is between Here and here. I say that all the time. It's
Yeah,
like
it's
my
true.
thing. And you have to be the person that you want to become. So taking doesn't have to be a big whole thing, but taking little steps every day to be that person, whatever that means for you. And it's individual. Can't say what it is for people. You have to decide that for yourself. Who do you want to become? And you know what? You're allowed to change your mind. What do I want to be when I grow up?
Growing up takes a long time for some of us.
Still, I still sometimes feel like that 13-year-old little girl
Yeah.
sitting in my room reading books, trying, trying not to be upset about something.
Right.
If only we could go back and tell ourselves it's going to be okay. You're going to be okay.
Right.
Hmm.
It's good. So good. I love the fact that you said something about impact. Um, because I mean, one of the like our vision statement is to provide an incredible dealership experience. You know, and and that would be, and the goal of that is impact. You know, how are we going to impact someone today? So when you scaled, right, and there's some, this is like again the trend, like a trans. I'll call it a transition stair. Um, what was the hardest thing that you had to let go of?
Control.
Mm. That's good.
Control. What can we control? We can control nothing, really.
Right.
I think that you obviously need process and system in any organization. The most important thing is good people over a talent, good humans. And I've been in situations in my life in my company over the years where I didn't have some good humans. And I'm a woman of faith and of integrity. And I wasn't in integrity with myself because I kept them.
That's good.
And when I kept them, it destroyed the culture.
Right.
And I kept them out of, I don't know, maybe fear, maybe laziness, maybe looking back. Fear was definitely one. And I probably could have been a lot more ahead, but I kept making the same mistakes. And I think with the recognizing, people go through life and don't even recognize what they don't become aware. I had to become aware of myself. Why am I self sabotaging? People don't talk about this, Chris. It's not pretty and glamorous, but there is. And I think many of us self sabotage in many ways. Sometimes we're just not even aware of it. Once we become aware, though, we become aware.
I use the term, once you've seen it, you can't unsee it.
Yeah,
You know, the hard part is either having people in your life that'll help you see it, you know, because I mean, you know, I love the fact that John Maxwell talks about blind spots so much, and having people in your life that will literally tell you, hey, you're blind here, something you got to work on. Um, I mean, it helps personal growth as much as it helps an organization grow. When you said the idea of keeping people, I think every organization goes through that. I know we've gone through that. We've kept people that were, um, for lack of a better term, a culture cancer. Just weren't aligned with who we were. This is a family organization, so we have, again, we're all, like, we don't hide our faith at all, and we've seen, when there's misalignment to some degree, that becomes part of the disagree the uh, the rub spot with their culture versus ours. And the hard thing is, and my COO and I had this conversation a couple of days ago, is it's easy to get rid of someone who is a cancer culture who's not a producer. The hard thing is to get rid of, what do you do with someone who's a high producer that's a cancer culture?
Right. Well,
And
that's part of it. That's the
yeah,
part of,
the fear.
that's exactly.
And when we go back and look at it, we began to put those people, regardless of their fit for the culture, over the mission of the business. It's easy to say that we want to sell and service cars, but we definitely want to impact our community. We want to show up in a way that, organizations can count on us when they need help with donations, or like whatever that is. We're like, we stay very active in our community. We can't do that if we don't produce. So I think sometimes we feel like, hey, for this one person, the culture is less important because they're producing at such a high level, and that's helping us have impact in the community. When in reality, if you would cut that cancer out, and you can probably attest to this, if you cut that cancer out, you can bring in two more that are aligned with culture and get way more when it comes to culture impact, and maybe just an equal production level. It doesn't always have to be double the production, but can you get two people that can equal that person's production, but at the same time be culture champions, and want to participate in what we feel, passionate about inside our community? So, how did you just said it? We had started to talk about culture. Like the idea of scaling culture and not scaling chaos. Like that's a fine line to walk sometimes. How do you protect culture right now? I mean, you've given me this after action review. Hey, I know where I made the mistakes. I know I'm aware of that mistake now. While you're scaling at a high level, how do you protect that culture?
Honesty, transparency, integrity, standards and principles. We can't have different standards for different people. Well, everybody is on the same. No, can't have special treatment, can't have a pass because of whatever. But I truly believe telling the people the truth is a big part of it. You can sit there and kumbaya all you want, but if everybody doesn't know what the mission is and isn't aligned, then what's the point?
Had a conversation with someone actually this morning on the way to work. And I said, the best thing that we can have in our life is someone who cares about us more than they care about our feelings. They want to see us be the best we can be. They want to see us develop the best we can be. And sometimes that requires to get our feelings hurt, but you just spoke about, you had something to say on that. You nodded. So I want to give you a second.
So, yeah, I mean, feelings are just that. They're just feelings. And they really don't mean anything because you can make it mean whatever you want. Oh, you made me feel that way. No, that's how you interpret it.
Right.
I have there's no feeling about this. These are things. These are facts. This is it in loving somebody, is the highest form of accountability. Love, accountability. If you don't love somebody, you don't need to hold them accountable. Well, you won't hold them accountable. Accountability is care. I care about you enough to hold you accountable for you and your family. Yeah, especially in our industry. People, I'm not going to say, yeah, you can't be broke here. Go get a W-2 because I care about you enough not to see you broke. But if you're not going to do the work, this is how it's going to be. Just not going to be hit here.
So you mentioned standards. What standards are non-negotiables for you?
Mm, there's what standards are not negotiable? Oh boy. Number one is honesty. If you lie to me, you're out. It's a hard line. There's no gray. If somebody can sit there and I ask a question and they lie right to my face, I can't trust you. And that means I can't trust you with a client. That means you cannot be here.
That,
That's a big one for
yeah,
me.
yeah. And it's a symptom of other things, right?
Yeah.
The lack of truth um, is a symptom of a lot of things in people's personal life, and that can definitely affect productivity and customer treatment, all those things.
But what's going on personally will show up publicly.
Absolutely. Amen. Amen.
You need to get yourself in check.
That's good. So, what do you measure now? When you talk about scaling, what do you measure now that you didn't measure early on?
Hmm. I think that hmm, well, selling real estate is all about conversation. The only way to have more impact on more people is to have conversation, meaningful conversations. So looking at appointments versus conversations, appointments part of the process. Appointments is what's going to move the needle, but maybe not right now. So the appointments for us, see, we can only focus on the process and not the outcome. So more appointments will eventually mean more impact, more sales. Before, I would say more conversations. We're seeing in today's environment, you have to have more appointments. People are slower to make a decision. So in order to have the business that you want, You have to have more appointments because you don't know when they're going to decide. So the sales cycle is longer than it has been. So if you want to speed that up, the only way to speed it up is to have more appointments because somebody's going to say yes now. But there, especially, our sales cycle is way longer. I look at the board, I see all the people, potential clients on the board. We go by address, and for our listing, we go by address, not the person's name.
Right.
And you just need more of them. It's interesting. It's really interesting how the psyche is working today. And it's, we don't live in a vacuum. So it's everything else that's going on in our world. So people are hit with things left and right, the fighting of political, Democrat, Republican. I said, well, same bird, different sides.
Amen.
I don't operate on that. I'm like, if you're like about this is the right, the left, rise above. There's a level above that. If you're inviting like that, but this is what's happening. And this is what the masses do. But you have to rise above that. That has to be, there's so much that people are taking in. They're bombarded with messages and videos and social media and all kinds of stuff that they can't even clearly think. Being aware of this, being cognizant of it, understanding people and how they respond and how they move about in selling real estate or whatever. It's more than just about how to get the hustle. It's more than just about, am I good at saying the right questions, Dan? It's more than just about, gotta close them. I don't, I talk about this all the time. We didn't close anybody. What do you close? Be a consultant. We do a consultation, not a presentation. At the end of the consultation, if you provided enough value, the client's going to say, how do I engage your services? And that is what we strive for. People say to me all the time, how do I move forward with you? Great. Love to work with you. But I sent out the paperwork. I assume that we're talking means that you want to work with my organization. Different mindset.
Right.
So training on this mindset, this takes a long time. And the real estate industry is built on the compound effect. So it's not about, I was talking about this earlier today, actually, not about the database, it's about the pipeline. How many are in your pipeline business? Let's look at the pipeline. Because the database, we're never going to call these people. It's impossible. Let's find some AI, something that can figure out how to reach more of them. But in the meantime, where's the pipeline? Where's the pipeline? And how do we impact those people? Week, day in, week, month, year. Here's the year. And Chris, I did this thing. Where do I have it here? I did this talk and I figured out that I talked to less people last year and brought more business in. How about that?
How about that?
Less people, more business. We're doing a sales, let's say contest, not contest, challenge, sales challenge, month of March. We're easing into it this week, meaning I have things scheduled as a group, we're doing. And for the month of March last year, I said, okay, I wanted to see what was possible as a leader. I wanted to see what was possible for any human in sales.
Right.
So on average, I was doing about 42 appointments a month. So I said, what's possible? And this is where things get fun. What's possible?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I doing this? Because this is part of the fun. What's possible? I asked my husband because I ask him everything. He's smart. He grew up going to Quaker school. They actually make you think there. They teach you how to think. I went to Catholic school. I don't know what happened to me, but they didn't teach me how to think like they taught him how to think. So I asked him. He said 100. I said, that's what I said, 100. 100 appointments. Here's where it gets interesting. Now, I did this so everybody could see me do it. I said, all right, I know for every hour, I could set an appointment. So I just unblocked the schedule. What happened was by the end of week 3, I hit 100.
Mm.
By the end of the 21 day business, 21 business days, I hit 132. Now,
Wow.
I don't really suggest anybody does this because it was a lot crazy, but it shows you that we are doing very little of what could be done.
Right.
As as anybody in sales or whatever career you're in. I looked at the numbers from last year. 20% of the conversations happened in the month of March.
Wow. But there was a commitment made. You talked about commitment, right?
It goes back to commitment. So why did that happen? The commitment to do it. I told everybody here's in the company, here's what I'm going to do. I want to show you what's possible. Then I go on social and I did a video. And then I did posts. And then I did another video. Every day I was doing a video about this. And my first video was, I am scared. So being vulnerable, showing people who you are, being authentic. Doing the commitment, following through on it, leading by example. Never asking anybody to do anything that I wouldn't do.
It's good.
Or hadn't done.
At one time you were leading 2 organizations. And how did you keep, what disciplines during that season kept you from burning out?
It was a season. So it was a season of focus, not much balance there, but it was a season. And a season, quite frankly, that I don't ever need to go back to.
There you go.
And it's okay to change course. Mm-hmm. I want people to know that. It's okay to be like, this is not working out. And it wasn't a failure. It was a learning lesson. Who do you need around you? Who is going to help you get to the next thing? And as this journey evolves, for me, it evolves in I'm going to help more real estate agents around the North America. get better at what they're doing, guiding, consulting, teaching on a national and international platform, not about being in Philadelphia. We all know that I can sell, my organization sells a lot of real estate. We all know that. It's the next part. How many people can I impact for real estate agents, for realtors to have a better life?
It's good. It's good.
Because that the industry is, it's a rough industry.
Yeah.
Like the car business is a rough industry. It's a rough industry and we get a bad rap
Yep.
like you guys do.
Yep. And it rides the same type of waves. You know,
Yeah,
it's
we're dependent on rates.
yeah, same. The waves that affect your industry are the exact same waves that affect mine. It's political environment, interest rates, the state of the economy. All those things are like we depend on riding those. And in the trough of that wave, when we came through COVID, I remember having a conversation with every single rooftop we had saying, hey, I don't know how we're going to get through this. I just know we're going to get through it better than we are going into it. Right? So the idea was in that trough, what disciplines can you put in place that get you to make, like you said, better commitments? Can we find a way to be better commitment? Can we find a way to be more productive when the things that are affecting us from the outside are making us less productive? How do we find this process that'll fill the pipeline? Where do we go? Like, what's the thing that we're not doing now that we could be doing? Because before we didn't need to do it because we had the luxury of a good economy, good political environment, and good rates. Like, so now that it's not that, what are we going to have to shift and where we're going to have to go? And what adjustments are we going to have to make? Because we still have to survive. You got to figure it out, That's
Be
good.
the solution.
Yeah, you got
That's
to
how
be.
be that's how be the solution came to be because of COVID.
Yeah. Yeah,
It was all
that's when you started that podcast, right? I do want to give a shout out to that podcast.
April 2020.
Yeah. What a crazy, crazy season that was.
April 2020. And
Yeah,
I'm still at it. I just did one this morning.
it's good. So,
Still at it. People say it's interesting because people start podcasts and stop them all the time. It's one thing, anything about me. I kind of keep on trucking along. I'm not too fast,
well,
not too slow. I'm just trucking along.
the turtle did win the race. Remember?
Yeah,
Yeah. So I've
yeah.
got two final questions for you. One is on the cost of leadership. Um, well, I'll say there's two. One is what's the level of leadership that you have now cost you, and who protects you?
My husband.
Mm, good.
I think that, you have haters, right?
Mm,
It's okay.
yeah.
And I think that most people who are doing good things are going to have that. And that says more about them than it does about us. It's okay.
I've got a T-shirt that I bought. It says, "I've never met a hater doing better than me."
That's right.
And and that
That's right.
and that term, right, is the idea that they're hating on what you're doing or how you're showing up. But usually, it's because there's a level of um, maybe jealousy. Is it of the
I
level
agree.
of the level of leadership you're showing, and the way people around you respond to that in a positive way, and they're not in a season of good self leadership. So people are responding to them differently, and they think that you got some type of an advantage that they don't have. Well, I will agree with that. So here's where I'll agree with it. The advantage I have is I have a team around me who's not afraid to tell me when things are bad. Right? That's an advantage. If you've got people around you that can let you know things are not working, that feel the freedom to speak up and say, this isn't working, that is a massive advantage. It's not some type of a head start advantage. It's the advantage of building a team that can speak truth right into you. So it does give you an advantage. And I think the difference between people that are having some level of success is, you said it a while ago, it's the who's surrounding you, the people around you that are on the same mission. So if you've truly built that, and that person that's looking at your level of success and looking at your level of achievement and looking at your level of leadership, the first thing that they have not done, that first step of the process, is to become self-aware,
That's it.
right, of where they need someone to tell them, hey, it's not working well. So yeah, people that achieve success do have a leg up. They have people around them that they're willing to listen to. So the leg up they have is somewhat humility. It's this ability to say, hey, I don't know all the best answers, but I can assemble a team that can help us decide on the best answers for the organization moving forward.
Mm, indeed.
So, wisdom for leaders that are still climbing this thing. What stair, um, well, two, I'm going to give you two questions again. What stair do most leaders try to skip? And then the second one is, what's a stair where mentorship matters the most?
Mm, skip. That's a tough one. When they skip, I think that um, getting really your machine going at a level where you have most of the kinks out of it, you start to add more and more people, and you don't have this going right, the machine running. I don't think you can hire your way out of that
So good.
because you're just creating more chaos. Like it's like building a house. That foundation needs to be strong and everything done right in order for that house to be built. You're not gonna, I you're not gonna put in your floors before you have the place sheetrocked. Or I see people hanging up mirrors in bathrooms and the kitchen isn't it. Doing things in the right order.
That's good. That's good. What about the stair where you think mentorship matters the most?
I think it matters all the time.
That's good.
All the time. Because who's mentoring me? And pros have coaches and mentors. And everybody needs to be mentored. The person answering the phone to the field service person to the person who's handling all the and contracts, whatever. Excuse me.
Bless you.
I think that the mentorship has to be for everybody because you're always at different levels. There's a different devil in the level.
That's good.
We don't live in a vacuum.
Mm-hmm.
We live in real people with real problems, with feelings.
That's a good loop back. So, just closing out, um, when the next generation climbs the stairs that you've built, what do you hope they say about your leadership?
She was honest.
No, that's good.
She told us the truth, even though we didn't want to hear it. And she continued to do it over and over and over again.
That's good.
The truth will set us free.
Yeah, amen. Amen. Well, Maria, how can people best find you if they are interested in what you have to offer? Because you've got a lot to offer. So, how can people find you? What's the easiest way for them to get in touch with you?
They can email me at maria@callmq.com. Call me. My cell number is 215-694-3903. That's it. Find me on social. I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn, Instagram.
Gotcha. Thank you so much for your time today and your willingness to share with honesty and transparency and vulnerability and all the things that I know you hold dear. You showed up well today. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity, Chris. It's been my pleasure.